I went from this to this, and this reel is a one-part whole video of the whole install of the Gaggimate Pro and Shades of Coffee LED light. I didn't want to make multiple parts because they always get flack, and honestly it just makes it so much easier if you need to refer back to something if it's all in one video. So yeah, I'd appreciate if you did stick with it for the whole 6 minutes, or at least save it and refer back to it if you ever need it. First thing I'm doing is starting with the wiring. I'm going to do all of the wiring, and then I'm going to do all the flashing of the hardware, and then I'm going to do the plumbing bits. First, the wires is pretty easy. It's actually really easy. You just follow all of the instructions. They're all color coded in the kit, so you know exactly which wire goes where, and with a little bit of time, patience and effort on your part to look at the instructions, you can follow this without much need to know your way around the machine. These two thermostats here are old and you don't need them. We replaced those with something new. These three wires that used to connect to the steam switch, they're not needed at all. Just insulate them with some electrical tape and make sure there's no chance of them shocking you. This one as well, you don't need that one, so you can also get rid of that one. And then this one we just attach this other wire to, and this then goes to a part I'll show you later. Now I'm just going to turn the whole thing around. This is the pump. It's an Olka vibratory pump, and all we're doing here is, again, just popping in the wires that are required as per the diagram. This blue one here will eventually connect to another part, which we will get to later. Essentially, I'm just installing all the stuff to the mechanical parts of the machine, and then eventually we'll hook them all up to like the brain part. This is another thing that we just pop in to replace the switches, and that then communicates with, again, the brain part of the machine. What have we got next? Yeah, we'll install the new, I think it's PT100 temperature sensor. Just goes into where the old brew switch was, and it's important to make sure you don't twist the wires because they're pretty tricky. This is the screen. You just want to have a good look at it and make sure that everything is connected. Then remove the sticky back tape and make sure it lines up well before making sure it has a firm and even seal, I suppose. You just want it like symmetrical, I don't know, in the middle of a circle. I think I did a pretty good job there. And then we're going to flash it, which means we're going to sort of run through all the program settings to make sure it runs Gaggimate. Currently it just has this clock, which, to be honest, I was a bit surprised at. After flashing, you'll be able to see it. And then this is the brains of the machine. You connect all the wires to this, but this also needs flashing again. And you just plug it in, USB-C into the computer and run some stuff. It doesn't take very long. It's all very kind of well explained. And I just pop this in its 3D printed enclosure just to keep it safe when it's inside the machine. And then following the diagram that I've got on my laptop, I'm just going to install all of those wire ends into the brain. And then we're pretty good to go with everything. All that we have to do after this is install the kind of plumbing side of things. So it's like a pressure transducer. And yeah, these all come together quite nicely, I think. Also, I've not done the wire for the actual like display yet, the circular screen. I do that at the end, but I'll show you. This is PTFE tape. You pop it on to make sure there's no kind of leaks and there's a good seal. This is a really important step because having water dripping into your machine is not great, especially when there's loads of like new electricals in. You don't want to risk frying anything and having to do it all again. The old wire the old tube just goes back onto that, and it's pretty easy. And then you also get some new tubing included in the kit, and you just want to cut this down to size and then flush it with some water just to make sure there's no air. And then you push that, it's like a push fitting into the transducer which reads the pressure. Then that just goes into that sort of T fitting there, and I think that's actually pretty good way of measuring the pressure. It's not as accurate as some, but it does a good job, enough to be able to do pressure profiling stuff. Then I just chuck everything back in the machine. I try and tidy the wires up a bit. My cable management isn't the best, but it's not bad. I then add the screen via the screen wire. It just plugs in at the top there, and it's kind of self-explanatory because there's like a part where you put the wire in, which just lines the screen up so it's nice and kind of, I don't know, as this orientated. It's orientated as the screen should be. I plugged it in, but I did have a bloody leak. I had a leak and it was annoying. But I put a tea towel over and I just took the pump out and I PTFE'd this part of the pump, which I didn't do before. I probably should have done, but we got it fixed, and we also installed an LED light from Shades of Coffee. This is super simple. We just took out 2 wires and we piggybacked them to this LED strip. And then we threaded the LED strip through the coffee machine and secured it to the bottom. And then we are good to go. Gaggimate Pro fully installed, LED Shades of Coffee light installed, and we are ready to make some fantastic coffee. And if you managed to get to the end, well, fair play, you got patience, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.